right here, top right corner. It sat comfortably, sat tall, uninvited, unwanted, red, and inflamed. At the age of 7, I remember having this God-forsaken fringe that accentuated the roundness of my already pretty round and plump face. And with that, my cheeks were sore from all the pinching that took place at family gatherings. This is a good time to mention that I'm from Sharjah, a place where it's very likely for your 3rd grade teacher, who happens to be your maternal second cousin, to also be your uncle's wife. Everyone's pretty much related, and if not, they live within a 10-block radius. So you can imagine the pain that fact, alongside my fringe, subjected my chubby cheeks. God, I hated that fringe. But at the age of 8, there was nothing more I was grateful for than that fringe. You see, at 8, Mother Nature decided that my face was to host a family of brutes. One after the other, pimple after pimple, non-stop, dominating every corner of my forehead. I managed it until one of those pimples decided to migrate to the tip of my nose. During class, what's taller than Everest? The mountain on Mariam's nose. At family gatherings, are you sure your daughter is washing her face properly? I did, believe me. I tried everything, from baking soda to turmeric to toothpaste, you name it. So this went on until one day I decided that I had enough. I decided that it was about time that I let the makeup artists do the magic that they claimed they could. And that makeup artist salvaged my self-confidence because in a few minutes, my life was transformed. There was one less person pulling me aside to recommend the skincare line. There was one less whisper, one less stare, and that one less of everything made the biggest difference because that day, I debuted my smile to the world. That was also the day that I was told that I needed braces, but that's another story for another day. So last year, I had this mammoth realization. A fire alarm went off, and I ferociously refused to exit to safety without my makeup on. It hit me then that ever since the first day I started wearing makeup 6 years ago, I have not left the house without at the very least a single layer of foundation. In fact, up until a year ago, the only people who saw my face in its raw form were my 2 sisters, one of which is very kind enough to remind me of my unfortunate situation, and my mother. My dermatologist himself, he accepted the fact that he was not going to examine my face without that one layer of foundation. But that one layer of foundation, it finally caught me up with girls my age. It was peak season for wearing the hijab and covering your hair. Thing is, for the longest time, I needed that hair to cover the horde of warlords on my forehead. But now I didn't need that. I was finally in the loop. But life isn't always rainbows and ponies, and at one point, my bad days ruled out my good days entirely. My acne got so bad that I couldn't even cry about it, because if I did, my face would burn from all the tears. I pushed through it though. Every morning, I'd walk to my dresser, I'd grab my makeup brushes, then get in an arm workout. 3 layers of liquid foundation, 3 assorted concealers, 2 color correctors, an extra coat of powdered foundation, and an extra coat of translucent powder to mattify my face because we wouldn't want to draw the wrong kind of focus to my problematic skin. That's the routine pretty much. Layer upon layer of makeup to maintain that false image that I projected to the world of who I was physically. I put in so much effort, but the outcome for me was worth it. I mean, how could a 14-year-old teenager say no to fitting in with her other porcelain skin friends? Let alone the fact that this teenager is a part of a society with cultural and religious protocols that literally limit any attention given to a female to only her face. Thankfully, after some time, my skin got better. It recuperated. Not entirely, but considerably. So the acne stopped, but the makeup didn't. How could it? At that point, it was reflexive. But interestingly, with time, I found myself reaching out for different tools based on my mood that morning. If I felt rather cheery, I'd go heavy-handed on the blusher. If I had too much cake the night before, I'd spend a few more minutes trying to carve me out some cheekbones. Or if I felt exotic and I want to make the green in my eyes pop, I'd choose an eyeshadow color on the opposite end of the color wheel, which in my case is this crimson red, but the last thing I want is for people to think that I have an infection in my eye. So I'd go for the next best thing, which is this persimmon orange. And if I felt rather fancy, I'd add in a few copper undertones here and there. You see, it became much more than, I want to cover this bit up. In fact, at some point, it got to, I want to cover this one, this one, this one, but not these two because they add some real element and some flair. I like to think that I mastered the art of concealing years' worth of scarring with that one layer that I consider my face. And I like to think that I mastered it so well that it explains why I received those, "You don't need makeup at all" comments. But do I really not need makeup at all? Because the other day I was feeling rather adventurous, and I decided to introduce one of my close friends to this unmasked Mariam. And so I did. And you know what they said? "Wow, you're really good at makeup." This is where most of you would be like, "Mariam, you chose this. You forced yourself onto this route." True, it may be that. But you can't deny the fact that many women, myself included, we fall into the cyclical wormhole that is makeup. We grow into it, and it becomes a part of us. It shifts from being this need to being a want. But just when we're comfortable with it, we're told that we don't need it, that we're supposed to be liberated from it. So we take it off, and we start receiving less and less compliments. So we wear it again. This time, we tone it down a notch or two, because according to the headlines we read, almost 40% of males think that women wear too much war paint. So we cross our fingers in the hopes of being that remaining 60. You see, it all boils down to this undeniable debate of whether or not a woman should wear makeup and what it means if one chooses to. But Mariam, what if you only think you like wearing makeup, and really it's a part of some deep-seated psychological need to fit in with these patriarchal demands of society? Aren't you objectifying yourself? Let me ask you this. Are you objectifying yourself when you brush your hair every morning so that it is not a hopelessly tangled mess and you can go about your day functioning as a normal human being? Are you objectifying yourself when you invest in a brand new pair of jeans because it's been almost a decade since you got your last pair? Does every ounce of energy you put into your appearance constitute objectifying yourself? We're at a point where we're so fixated on being critics and commentating on a woman's decision to wear makeup, that she's doing this to fit in, that she's overdoing it or underdoing it. And it's a similar case with the men who wear makeup. Yes, men do that. In fact, in a survey of about 1,000 men, only 26% of them did not indulge in beauty products. Many of them got their eyebrows threaded or waxed, got manicures done, used tinted moisturizers and lip balms, got facials done because there's a simple fact that men's skin is far more oilier than women's. So, in fact, it's been the men who have been needing the help all along. Men from ancient Egypt to 18th century France, they embraced those beauty products because it was a sign of nobility. But something must have happened along the way, because now I think if we were to find out that a male in our society wore makeup, I don't think we'd just question his decision to do so. I think we'd rather question his sexuality. I mean, how dare he overstep his gender bounds when the poor thing just wanted to keep his lips moisturized? We make it our life's purpose to make sure that we never run out of things to say. And now we're saying that makeup is feminine. We're essentially this binary society. Despite all of this massive advancement, we can only really deal with zeros and ones. If you're a female and you wear makeup, then you're a 0. If you're a male and you don't wear makeup, then you're a 1. Maybe yes. Maybe I did start wearing makeup because this society gets thrown off if it can't categorize someone as being either strictly male or strictly female. But we're being ignorant because there's this huge gap that we're not addressing on what goes on behind the scenes. Interestingly, there's this Arabic proverb that reads, "He who can't reach the grapes calls them sour." Now, could it be the case of why we choose to sweep things under the rug? I mean, how many males have dared to so much as use a smidgen of their mother or sister or partner's makeup? I'm assuming not many. My guess would be that within the first 5 minutes, you would scratch, if not blind, one of your eyeballs, or you'd be hit with the sudden realization that maybe you should incorporate cardio back into your manly fitness routine at the gym because you couldn't keep up with all the scaffolding and layering. Makeup is tough, it's taxing, and it's arduous. So think again before you make another comment. He who can't reach the grapes calls them sour. And now to address this heated question of, am I really advocating these patriarchal ideals and betraying the decades worth of feminist movements by choosing to wear makeup, which happens to make me look like a byproduct of some gender role? I choose to wear makeup because I know that from the moment that I step into my first engineering lecture of the day, that I revel in the fact that I will constantly be proving my male counterparts wrong. I'd force them to go beyond the binary spectrum of zeros and ones and have them deal with threes and fours and fives and six because I am female, I am feminine, I am an aspiring engineer, I am strong, and I wear makeup. In fact, some days I wear so much makeup that you could literally trace me back to anywhere. And for that, I will not apologize because I quite frankly like having a cake face. I am proud to have appropriated this war paint to myself and my needs. But Mariam, wait. This isn't the real you. You weren't born into this world with a bottle of foundation and a tube of mascara. Firstly, how does a gym membership reveal a more authentic and truer self than a Sephora's rewards program? How does a beard, which can be argued to achieve the same outcome in terms of covering one's face, be more real than minerals that you could literally just wash off at the end of the night? This is what we're saying now. Now we're saying that if you're a male and you don't wear makeup, then you're real, you're honest. But if you so much as just wear just a tiny bit, that's all it takes, then it's for you. You're done. It's game over. Secondly, massaging my face every morning with brushstrokes doesn't detract the real me. My face on its own, it doesn't really say anything about me or who I am. It's pure probability and genetics. Now, makeup gave me the power to control the face that I had no control over whatsoever at birth. In a life that is sometimes overwhelmingly filled with things that I strictly have to do, makeup breaks that. When putting on mascara, no two people will open their mouths the exact same way. No two people will put on blusher or contour in the exact same areas. It's one of the last relics of individuality. And for so many years, I struggled to define my relationship with it. But now I take pride in knowing that I can be whoever I want to be, whenever, whatever, be it gothic, emo, preppy, ill, you name it. I'm practically your walking Photoshop. I can fine-tune, retexturize, draw 0 or 100% attention to my face by manipulating the way the light hits it. I am my own shapeshifter. So you tell me, am I demeaning, underestimating, undermining myself and my powers by choosing what you get to see every day? Thank you.